Rebecca Hintzman here with RUFF Academy Real Life Dog Training. Meet Ozzie, the 11-month-old Aussidore. He is here for a 3-week board and train. The reason he's with me is because his parents got him as a puppy, and he has been increasingly showing aggressive and assertive behavior with strangers, and especially at the vet, he's showing being very uncomfortable and reactive. So he's with me to learn how to work with building trust with new people and how to work in situations where he's more guarded. He was required to have a muzzle on when I had him come for the board and train because we wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to make any dumb choices, and at the same time that I was safe, that I could easily work with his neck and head without having to worry about being bit or put in harm's way. As you can see, he's super stiff and he's unsure. I'm trying to create space with my legs so that I can put him into a sit position and then put pressure up with the collar and leash. You're going to notice here he's going to start to become reactive because he's not happy with being next to me, and he's also not happy with having that pressure on his collar and leash. Starting his outburst right now, you can tell he says, absolutely not, I do not want to be next to you, and I do not want to have that collar and leash around. Now, as you notice, I actually have 2 slip leads on. The main reason is the first slip lead was put on before the muzzle was put on, so I couldn't take it off. The second slip lead is actually higher up on his neck so I can have more control. So for the time being, I was utilizing 2 slip leads. So all I'm trying to do in this clip right now is just ask him to go into a sit position, not go behind me or try to get away from me, but just go into a sit position using collar and leash pressure. I always start with collar and leash pressure first because I want to help them understand the basics of the obedience before I utilize anything with an e-collar. As you see, he is not happy at all, even just with collar and leash pressure. And especially since he has reactivity with being touched on his neck and his head, this is definitely a major discomfort for him, just putting pressure on his neck and putting him into a sit position. So my main focus right now was staying calm, making sure that the slip lead was where it needed to be, and just trying to reinforce that sit position without a whole lot of vocal from me and without a whole lot of intense handling. For him, he was fighting against me, fighting against the pressure, and fighting against the process itself. What is interesting at this point is you can tell he's still very much in that reactive state. I have a dog to my right in a kennel, and there's another dog to the left. Both dogs are actually with me for board and trains as well, and they're both actually with me for reactivity, but with dogs, not people. As soon as he went crazy in some of his explosions, it actually set the dogs off, but to a point where they were actually telling him to be quiet. Both dogs had been with me for at least about a week and a half, and so they were starting to get into the program and understand what they needed to do, so they were in a more balanced state. So every time he would explode, I actually brought him over to where the kennel was, and he would immediately stop. So they were actually helping the process a little bit by telling him, dude, you need to be quiet. Just stop. And he would stop. So for a short period, every time he would have an explosion, I would bring him over to one of the kennels and put him in a sit. The one that he's by right now, there's actually a blue heeler in it. And the blue heeler is very good at correcting and saying, dude, you need to be quiet. So it wasn't actually that bad to have the reaction from the dogs to help him to calm down. After seeing that we were going to have multiple outbursts and we were not moving forward in just leash and collar pressure, I did add an e-collar. So in my board and trains, I do utilize e-collars to help reinforce the basic obedience, but at very low levels. In this case, I was going to use it to help with his outbursts and just keep him at more of a managed point. So reinforcing the sit position, you saw that he had one more outburst here. That outburst was paired with an e-collar correction. Now mind you, the level was literally only at like a 7 or 8 out of 100. E-collars are not meant to be used as shock collars. They're meant to be used as a stimulation tool, kind of like a TINS unit. So what it does is stimulate the muscle, which then tells the brain that something is happening and they need to pay attention. and it helps break through some of that intense behavior or that stranger danger or red zone kind of behavior. So in this case, you will see that it really did not take that much for him to understand that he needed to rethink how he was acting and go more into that collar and leash pressure. So after that initial correction, now we're able to actually move forward a little bit and go more towards the leash and collar pressure like we were trying to initially. So he still is not completely comfortable, but he's starting to actually pay attention to the leash and collar pressure. And I'm also saying the word sit at the same time that the pressure is happening. So now I'm also just using leash and collar pressure right now. I'm not using the e-collar at all unless he decides to have an outburst. So basically, if he goes into a sit position by utilizing the leash and collar pressure, nothing happens. If he has an outburst, then there's a quick e-collar correction with an off command and then reset to go into a sit position. He's not happy about it, but at the same time, he's not being hurt, and I'm not yelling or getting really intense with him. I'm just trying to go into a routine of, I ask you to go into a sit position. I create pressure on the leash and collar. When you go into the sit position, I release that pressure, and then we move forward and we do it again. So by repetition and consistency, he's learning that all he has to do is just sit. That's literally all I'm asking him to do, is just sit. If he reacts negatively, there's a negative consequence. But if he reacts positive, all the pressure goes away and positive, happy tones are used. So he's still bucking it a little bit, but you can tell now that we're actually able to get into our normal collar and leash pressure and sit position, and we were able to start having more success in this training session. So for this session, he learned a lot. He learned that if he just walks next to me, maintains a positive space, and responds to the collar and leash pressure and going into a sit, nothing happens to him. If he explodes and has an attitude and responds negatively, there's a consequence for it. So towards the end of the training session, I really started to see that he was understanding the assignment, that he was having a good idea of what to do, and he was becoming more responsive, which is great because we need to continue to work on this every single day for him to understand exactly what the next step would be. With this, we were lucky enough to have a local vet do a mock vet visit. The point of this mock vet visit was to help him understand that when he's at the vet, it's not all negative. So we've already been working with our muscle training for 2 weeks, and this is into his 3rd week and final week for his board and train. So because we had built up some trust and he understood that meeting people with a muzzle was positive, we then set up a mock vet visit to where he could go in and kind of have them mimic what they would normally do, touching his body, touching his head, just feeling, giving him a massage, things like that. So Margot, who is amazing, decided to help us out and really had a very good rapport with him. In the beginning, there was one moment where he was a little nervous because he didn't know her, but we utilized the e-collar with a low growl and literally only had to do it once, and after that he really warmed up to the process. So by the end, he started being more trusting and having more of a positive rapport. We then ended the session with some treats, which he of course is very food motivated, and in turn he then went towards her and got a lot of good pets and loves. So overall, a very good opportunity for him and a great session. So this is the end result after 3 weeks of training and working with reactivity with me, building a relationship, and getting comfortable with a muzzle. So now you can see that he has his muzzle off. He is very happy, enthusiastic. He is running through all of the commands with me, and he is very happy to do so. Now, this was on the day that we reunited with his owner, and so as you can see, he's super highly stimulated and super happy because he got to see his dad, and his dad is the one that is videotaping, so of course he's looking back at his dad, but also paying attention to me. So there were certain moments that he was excited and got up, but we just reinforced the position and redid it. So this is the day that is super hard for me because I don't train around the owners until the day that we reunite. So that day they're always super excited and overstimulated, so I have to work against that challenge. But this was really satisfying to me because after 3 weeks, and especially in the very beginning of this video, as you saw, he was not a fan of mine. It was really nice to get to the point where we had a good relationship. He trusted me. It was a positive thing, and it ended on a positive note where he didn't mind working with me at all. So in the end of the day, super excited about this, and it was a really great way to wrap up our session. All right, so Michael, what do you think of RUFF Academy's Board and Train program?
It's an incredibly professional program. Becca did a fantastic job. I'm really proud of Ozzie.
And look at what we got to take off afterwards.
Yeah, 3 weeks off.
What was one thing that really stood out to you during the training that you really liked?
That Ozzie built up trust within a couple of days of being with you. He could be stubborn, and within a couple of days you were able to get him to listen and start training. Rebecca does positive reinforcement. Every week or every day there's a report card with phenomenal comments that I love reading thoroughly, sometimes multiple times. And that obedience training is probably the best investment that you can make.
You agree, Ozzie? He's like, whatever, take me home, I'm ready to sleep. Thank you. Wow, what an amazing transformation. Hey there, my name is Rebecca Hintzman, and I'm the lead trainer and owner of RUFF Academy Real Life Dog Training. If you want to see more transformation videos like you just saw, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also jump over to our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and make sure to follow those as well. Here at RUFF Academy, we feel very strongly about the relationship between you and your dog. No matter what age, size, breed, or behavior issue, we can help. If you've been struggling lately with your dog, please contact us today. If you're interested to learn more about our training program, go to our website, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.